The battlefield silence. The war was finally over. Smoke filled the air. The sky was dark, even though it was daytime. Broken ships and burned weapons covered the land. Bodies of soldiers, both human and alien, lay still and cold. The battlefield was silent. No gunfire, no screams. Only the soft wind blowing dust over the dead. A human soldier named Jack walked carefully through the ruins. His boots stepped on metal and blood. He held his rifle tight just in case. Jack's face was tired. His eyes showed pain. He had lost friends, many of them. But he was not looking for enemies now. He was looking for anyone still alive. Suddenly he heard a sound. Very soft, like a breath. Jack turned fast, ready to shoot, but what he saw made him freeze. Lying under a piece of metal was an alien warrior. His skin was dark blue. His armor was cracked. His face was bloody. His forearms lay still. His legs did not move, but his eyes were open. He was alive. Barely. Jack aimed his gun. The alien looked at him with pain but not fear. The alien spoke, his voice weak. "Please, don't shoot." Jack didn't move. His finger stayed near the trigger. This alien was from the Carrie Empire, the main enemy in the war. Many Carrie had killed Jack's friends. He had every reason to leave this one behind, but something stopped him. The alien didn't beg. He didn't cry. He just looked at Jack like a soldier ready to die. "What happened to you?" Jack asked. "My legs broken. Nerve damage," the alien said slowly. "I can't move. I'm paralyzed." Jack looked around. The area was quiet. Other human soldiers were nearby, checking the dead. One soldier saw Jack standing over the alien. He shouted, "Hey, that thing's still alive?" Jack didn't answer. Another soldier came closer. "Leave it, man. It's just trash. Not worth saving." The others laughed and walked away, but Jack didn't laugh. He looked at the alien again. "What's your name?" The alien blinked. He was surprised. "Kale ... of House Theron." Jack took a breath. "I'm Jack." Kale gave a small nod. "Kill me. Or leave. I won't stop you." Jack didn't move for a long time. He thought of all the hate, the killing, the lies. He thought of what his friends would say if they saw him now. But then he thought of something else. He thought of honor. Of what it really meant to be human. Slowly, Jack put down his gun. He reached out and grabbed the metal pinning Kale's body. With great effort, he pulled it off. Kale gasped in pain. His body shook. "I'm going to help you," Jack said quietly. Kale looked confused. "Why?" Jack didn't answer. He just took off his pack and started cutting up some cloth to make a sling. "You're my enemy," Jack said. "But you're also a soldier. And a soldier doesn't leave another soldier to die like this." He lifted Kale onto his back. It was heavy. Kale's armor dug into Jack's skin. But he kept walking. Jack moved carefully, hiding behind wreckage. If other soldiers saw him, he'd be in trouble. Big trouble. A human helping an alien? That was treason. He found an old, broken building and went inside. It was dark, but safe for now. He laid Kale down gently. "We'll rest here tonight." Kale looked at him, confused and tired. "You're strange for a human." Jack gave a small smile. "You're strange ... for an alien." They both laughed, just a little. Suddenly, Jack heard a noise outside. Footsteps. Someone was watching them. He grabbed his rifle and looked through a hole in the wall. A shadow moved between the ruins. Fast. Silent. Was it a soldier? An enemy, or something else? Jack didn't know. But he knew one thing for sure. This story wasn't over. Not yet. The Forbidden's choice, helping the enemy, is a crime. The words echoed in Jack's mind, but last night he had done just that. As the sun rose over the dead battlefield, Jack sat quietly in the ruins of a half-broken building. He watched Kale sleep. The alien's chest moved slowly. His wounds were deep. His body was weak, but he was still alive. Jack's hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from the weight of what he had done. He had saved the enemy, and now everything had changed. The day before, Jack was a soldier, a hero to his people. Today, he was a traitor. If anyone found Kale, Jack would be arrested, maybe even executed. Still, he didn't feel regret. Kale groaned. His eyes opened slowly. "Where are we?" Safe, Jack said. For now, Cale looked around at the cracked walls and broken roof. Strange place to be saved. Jack gave a short smile. Not many five-star hotels on a battlefield. Cale chuckled softly, but the pain in his chest cut the laugh short. Why did you do it, Jack? Jack didn't answer right away. He looked at the sky through a hole in the roof. Because no one else would. Outside, the war was over. But peace had not begun. Soldiers were still angry. Orders were still sharp. And the hate between humans and aliens had not disappeared. In fact, for some, it had grown stronger. Suddenly, Jack heard footsteps nearby. He quickly stood and picked up his rifle. Someone was coming. Stay quiet, Jack whispered. He stepped outside the building, heart pounding. A woman in uniform stood there, rifle ready. It was Mara, one of Jack's old squad mates. Jack? She said, lowering her weapon a little. What are you doing out here alone? Jack tried to stay calm. Just looking for survivors, Mara narrowed her eyes. You find any? Jack hesitated. No, just wreckage. She walked closer. Command says we pull out tomorrow. Clean. Up teams will come later. You should head back. Jack nodded slowly. I will. Just needed some air. But Mara's eyes scanned the building behind him. Then she pointed with her rifle. What's that movement in there? Jack stepped in front of her. Nothing, a rat or maybe my shadow. Mara didn't laugh. She pushed past him and walked. Inside. Jack followed quickly, panic rising. Cale was still lying on the floor, covered with Jack's jacket. But his blue skin was clearly not human. Mara froze. She turned to Jack, her voice sharp. You lied to me. Jack raised his hands. Mara. Listen, he's hurt. He can't walk. He's not a threat. He's a carry, she shouted. He's the reason Sam and Kyle are dead. Jack didn't speak. He just looked at her. Mara's hands trembled on her rifle. Cale's voice was soft. You can kill me. I won't stop you. Mara stared at him, breathing hard. Then, to everyone's surprise, she lowered her weapon. Why is he still alive, Jack? Jack looked at Cale, then back at her. Because he warned me. He told me something. Something we need to hear. Mara frowned. What are you talking about? Cale struggled to sit up. There is a greater enemy. One that hides behind your eyes? One that whispers lies into your minds. What does that mean? Mara asked. Cale's eyes burned with fear. The war between our people was not our idea. It was started by something else. Something that feeds on chaos. Jack stepped forward. He's talking about a secret enemy, something no one has seen. He called them the Shroud. Mara shook her head. You believe that? I didn't, but now I'm not so sure. Cale took a deep breath. Before the final battle, I was on a mission. I found one of their bases deep underground. I barely escaped. That's when they shot me down? Mara crossed her arms. So, you're saying the war ... was a trick? Yes, Cale said. And if we don't stop them, they'll destroy both our worlds. Silence filled the room. Mara looked at Jack. If Command finds out we're hiding him, we're finished. Jack nodded. I know, but... She paused, thinking. If he's telling the truth, then we're already in danger. Jack looked at her with hope. Then help me. Just for a little longer, Mara sighed. You're insane, both of you. But then, after a long pause, she added, Fine, I'll help. But one wrong move from him and I shoot. Cale smiled weakly. Fair enough. Outside, the wind picked up and far, far away. Something was watching. It had no eyes. No face, no name, but it was listening, and it knew the war was not over. It was just beginning. Trust is a weapon. Trust. It's a small word, but in war, it can save your life. Or end it. Jack had trusted Cale. Now, Mara had trusted Jack, but none of them trusted the silence around them, because silence in war was never safe. The three of them, Jack, Mara, and the paralyzed alien warrior Cale, hid deep in the ruins of an old supply base. The sky was turning red as evening fell. The wind howled like it remembered every scream from the battlefield. Jack cleaned his rifle with shaking hands. Cale sat quietly, leaning against a wall. His eyes were closed, but he was awake, always listening. Mara stood near the doorway, watching. The horizon. She still didn't trust Kale. Not fully, not yet. I had a dream, Kale said suddenly. Jack looked up. About what? Fire, metal, shadows that walk like men, but speak in voices that don't belong. Mara rolled her eyes. Sounds like a bad poem. Kale turned his head slowly. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory. Jack stood. You mean the shroud? Kale nodded. They take the minds of others. Use them like tools, your commanders, your soldiers, even mine. They may already be controlled. Mara stepped forward. That's a big claim for someone who can't even walk. Kale didn't flinch. That's why they left me alive. I escaped. They couldn't risk me telling the truth. Jack walked to his pack. If what he's saying is real, we need proof. Kale looked at them both. I can give you that. An old military tablet sat in Kale's broken armor. He reached for it slowly. His hands shook, weak from blood loss. Jack helped him turn it on. The screen glowed dimly. A hologram appeared. It showed a hidden underground base. Strange towers, blue fire, and something darker, things that looked like machines but moved like animals. No faces, just glowing shapes where eyes should be. The shroud, Kale whispered. They live in places your satellites can't see. They use stolen tech hours, yours, anyone's. They want control, not peace, not victory. Just control? Mara stared at the screen. Where is this place? Kale zoomed in on a location. 50 miles from here. Inside the Black Canyons. Jack narrowed his eyes. No patrols ever go there. It's a dead zone. Not dead, Kale said. Just hidden. Mara crossed her arms. You expect us to go there? With a wounded alien and no backup? Jack looked at her. Do you want to wait until those things show up at our base instead? Silence. Then Mara sighed. You two are going to get me killed. They made a plan. At sunrise, Jack and Mara would sneak into the Black Canyons. Kale would guide them from a small transport unit, something light and fast, left behind during the battle, but the risk was high. If anyone saw them with Kale, they'd be shot. If the shroud saw them coming, they'd never return. That night, while the others rested, Jack sat alone outside. He looked at the stars, thinking he didn't trust easily. He had seen too many lies in war, but Kale's pain felt real. His fear felt real. And Jack knew one thing. If he was wrong, it might cost him everything, but if he was right, it could save the entire world. Suddenly he heard movement behind him. Turned quickly, gun ready. It was Mara. She sat beside him. Quiet. You really believe him, don't you? She asked. Jack nodded. Yeah, I do. She looked at the stars. You're braver than me? No, Jack said. Just tired of watching good people die for bad reasons. They sat in silence for a moment, then Mara whispered, If this goes wrong, I'm blaming you. Jack smirked. Fair. Back inside, Kale opened his eyes. He had heard everything. And for the first time in days, he felt something strange. Hope. But deep in the Black Canyons, far from their camp, a signal blinked. A hidden eye had noticed movement. A machine turned its head, sensing new heat in the distance. The shroud was waking. And it was hungry. The hidden enemy. Not every enemy bleeds. Some enemies whisper. Some enemies watch. Some enemies hide in the dark and wait for you to come to them. The Black Canyons were silent. No birds, no wind, no life. The sun was high, but the shadows were long. It felt like the rocks themselves were holding their breath. Jack and Mara stood at the edge of the cliffs, looking down at the deep cracks in the earth behind them. Kale sat in a small hover chair they had found, built for battlefield medics. His armor was weak, his body weaker, but his mind was sharp. This is the place, Kale said. The enemy's true home. Jack looked through his scope. I don't see anything, just rocks and dust. That's the point, Kale replied. They don't want to be seen. Mara scanned the cliffs with her binoculars. You sure this isn't a trap? Kale's voice was cold. If it is, then it's for all of us. They moved slowly, climbing down narrow paths. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. Jack noticed strange symbols carved into the canyon walls, too perfect to be natural, but too alien to understand. Mara touched one. What language? Is this? Kale frowned. It's not a language, it's code. Jack's grip tightened on his rifle. Code for what? Kale looked at him. For control? After an hour they found it, a wall of smooth black metal half buried in the canyon floor. No doors, no lights, no signs of life, but Kale reached out and touched it. Suddenly, the wall shimmered like it was made of liquid. A doorway appeared, wide and dark. Mara stepped back. I don't like this. Jack raised his rifle. Stay close. They stepped. Inside, the tunnel was cold and silent. The walls hummed like something was alive inside them. As they walked, they saw strange machines, tall metal towers filled with glowing blue liquid. Inside the liquid floated shapes. Bodies. Human. Alien. Mixed. Kale's voice shook. They take us. They drain our minds. Our thoughts become their weapons. Mara stared in horror. They've been building an army. No, Kale said. They've been building us. Their version of us, better, colder, empty. Jack felt a chill run through him. Why didn't anyone know about this? Kale looked at him. Because they don't leave survivors. Suddenly, the lights turned red. A sound echoed through the tunnel like metal screaming. Run! Kale said. From the shadows, things began to crawl tall. Thin creatures made of wires and bone. Their eyes glowed like fire. They moved fast. Jack fired. So did Mara, but the bullets barely slowed them down. Kale yelled, To the core! Follow me! They ran through twisted halls, dodging claws and machines. The shroud creatures didn't talk. They just hunted. And they didn't stop. Jack kicked down a door. They entered a wide chamber full of strange machines and pulsing blue light. In the center was a tall structure like a brain made of glass and steel. The core, Kale said, breathless. It controls everything. We shut it down, they fall. Mara looked at him. How? Kale opened a panel on his hover chair. Inside was a small glowing crystal. I stole this from them. It's the key. Jack helped him move to the control system. Kale placed the crystal into the slot. The machines screamed. The lights turned white. The whole structure began to shake. Jack looked at Kale. Is it working? Kale nodded. Yes, but it will call more of them. Mara reloaded. Then we hold the door. Jack and Mara stood guard while Kale worked. Shroud creatures rushed the chamber, climbing walls and ceiling. Jack fired until his rifle burned. Mara threw her last grenade. Kale's eyes closed tight. He was linking with the system, using his mind to burn through the code. It's almost done. He shouted. Then one of the creatures leapt forward and slashed Jack across the chest. He fell back, bleeding. Jack! Mara screamed. Kale looked at the core. Then at Jack. He knew what he had to do. With one final push of will, Kale overloaded the crystal. The core exploded with light. A wave of energy spread through the base. The shroud creatures froze, then shattered like glass. Silence returned, but Kale was slumped over, barely breathing. Jack crawled to him. Kale, stay with me. Kale smiled weakly. Told you, I wasn't lying. They carried him out of the base. Behind them, the machines were falling apart. The black canyons were no longer silent. They were free, but far above the sky, in the cold black of space. Another signal lit up. The shroud was not dead. It was only learning. The escape. The base was falling apart, and so was Kale's body. Jack carried the alien warrior in his arms, running through fire and smoke. Metal beams crashed around him. Sparks rained down like burning snow. Behind them, the secret base of the shroud was collapsing, its machines broken, its monsters destroyed, but they were not safe yet. Mara followed close, holding her rifle in one hand and dragging Jack's dropped medkit with the other. Jack, she shouted, they're not all dead. Some of them are still moving. Jack didn't answer. He couldn't. Kale was unconscious. His breathing was shallow. His skin was cold. He had saved them. Now, Jack had to save him 12 minutes earlier. Kale had overloaded the core with stolen shroud energy. The shockwave had destroyed the enemy's systems. The creatures froze lifeless, but it had nearly killed Kale. His mind had touched the hive, and something touched back. Now, the whole base was breaking down. Its power was gone. Its walls were crumbling. They had to move fast. Jack and Mara reached the outer chamber. Where the tunnel met the canyon, the metal door had collapsed. They were trapped. Mara slammed her hand on the wall. No, there has to be another way out. Jack placed Kale gently against a wall. Think. Kale's eyes opened barely. His voice was weak. There's an old exit tunnel, emergency use only. South side. Jack looked at the map on his wrist device. Got it. They turned, and suddenly movement. One last shroud creature dropped from the ceiling. Its body half broken, but still alive, its arm twisted into a blade. It charged. Mara shot it point-blank. It didn't. Stop. Jack dove, slamming into the creature. They crashed to the ground. The monster hissed. Raising its blade, Kale fired. With shaking hands, he aimed a stolen energy pistol and hit the creature's core. The monster fell. Dead for good? Kale dropped the weapon, eyes closing again. Mara helped. Jack up. He just saved you again. Jack looked at Kale. Let's not waste it. They reached the emergency tunnel. It was tight, dark, and filled with smoke. Pipes hissed with steam. Lights blinked and died. They ran. Jack carried Kale. Mara covered the rear. Felt longer than the last. Behind them, explosions echoed. The entire mountain was falling in on itself. Finally, Dashlight. They burst out into the open. Onto a rocky hill, they fell to the ground, coughing and gasping for air. Behind them, the canyon collapsed in a storm of dust and fire. The hidden base of the shroud was gone. For now, Jack looked at Kale. His pulse was fading. Stay with us, Jack said. Kale barely opened his eyes. Did we make it? You did, Mara said. You crazy alien, you actually did? Kale gave a soft laugh. I want the medal, Jack smiled. You've earned it. They sent a coded signal to the nearest human base. A rescue ship arrived in 20 minutes. The crew stepped out, confused, to see an alien warrior lying beside two human soldiers. One officer shouted, "What the hell happened here?" Jack stood tall. We found something. We need to speak to command, now, hours later. At the human command center, Jack and Mara sat in a small room. A general entered, face cold. You disobeyed orders, you helped the enemy. You went dark. For 48 hours, explain yourself. Jack put a data chip on the table. Watch that, it shows everything. The general frowned, inserted the chip, and watched as he saw the images of the shroud. His hands tightened, his face turned pale. When the video ended, he looked at Jack. Where is the alien? In the med bay? Mara said. He might not make it. The general was silent, then he said, We need to prepare. This war isn't over. That night, Jack sat beside Kale's hospital bed. Machines beeped. Kale was sleeping. Jack whispered, You didn't have to save me back there. But you did. Kale didn't answer, but his fingers moved slightly, a sign he was still fighting. In the sky above, far from Earth, another world blinked into darkness. The shroud had lost a base, but it had many more, and it had now learned something dangerous. Humans can't be controlled, especially not the ones who care. The last stand heroes don't always stand. Sometimes they fight lying down. Sometimes they fight with nothing left, no strength, no weapons, only will. Kale couldn't walk, but he was about to lead. Earth's final defense. The base alarm screamed. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Soldiers ran in panic. Something had broken through the outer gates, something fast, silent, and unstoppable. Jack grabbed his rifle and ran toward the command center. Mara was already there, shouting orders. They're inside! She yelled. We didn't even see them coming. General Harris turned to Jack. Is this what you saw in the canyon? Jack nodded. Worse, these are upgraded. They've adapted. The shroud was no longer hiding. It was hunting. In the med bay. Kale lay on his back, hooked to machines. His body was weak, but his mind was still sharp. He opened his eyes as the lights flickered. He heard the chaos outside, and he knew they had come for him, not to kill him. To stop him. Jack burst into the room. We need to move you, Kale coughed, blood on his lips. No, I need to move them, Jack frowned. What are you talking about? Kale pulled a small device from under his blanket. A thin crystal pulsed with energy. This is a mind-link booster, he said. I used it before, I can use it again. Jack shook his head. You almost died last time. Kale smiled. Then let's make this time count. Mara entered out of breath. We've sealed the west wing, but they're in the lower levels. If they reach the power core, we're finished. Kale pointed to a chair military tech with command uplinks. Put me in that, he said. Jack and Mara exchanged a look and nodded. They placed Kale in the chair and connected the crystal. Instantly, Kale's eyes glowed. His mind expanded into the base network. He saw everything, every hallway, every camera. And he saw them, dozens of shroud units crawling through vents, walls, floors, moving like shadows. Send units to corridor C4, Kale said. Seal tunnel 9B, trap them. The base AI obeyed his voice. He wasn't just giving orders, he was the defense system now. Jack and Mara led the counterattack. Humans and aliens working side by side for the first time fought. With everything they had, the shroud moved fast. But Kale moved faster. His voice came through every radio. Left flank duck. Reinforcements back door now? The soldiers began to trust the voice. They didn't even know who it was, but it was saving their lives. Then the power flickered. Kale groaned. His nose bled. Their lead unit. It's close to the core. It's jamming me, Mara shouted. Where is it? Kale's voice weakened. Sector 7, sublevel. Jack grabbed his rifle. We'll take it out. Kale looked at him. One shot to the central plate. That's its weakness. Jack nodded. You stay alive. That's an order. Jack and Mara ran through smoke-filled corridors. They reached sublevel 7. The walls were scorched. Bodies everywhere, shroud and human. Then they saw it. The lead shroud unit, tall, armored, glowing like fire. It turned toward them. Not fast. Not angry. Just calm, like it knew it would win. Jack fired. Mara flanked it. But the creature dodged like lightning. It knocked Jack into a wall. Mara screamed and jumped on its back, stabbing wires into its head. Sparks flew. It threw her off. Jack stood, blood running down his face. He remembered Kale's words. One shot. Central plate. The creature charged. Jack aimed. He waited. He fired. The bullet hit dead center. The creature froze and exploded back at the command center. The lights returned. Kale gasped, eyes wide. Then silence. His body went still. Jack and Mara returned, dirty, hurt, but alive. They ran to Kale's chair. Kale? Jack said. No answer. Then a breath. Kale opened one eye. Told you, just needed one shot. Jack laughed with relief. The shroud had failed, but the battle had revealed something even more important. When humans and aliens fight together. Real enemy doesn't stand a chance, but high above Earth, in a dark station orbiting a dead moon. Another signal blinked. The shroud was not finished. It was learning, and it now had one name burned into its code. Kale. A warrior's honor. A soldier doesn't ask for medals. He earns them, even if they're not for his own people. Days had passed since the battle. The human base was quiet again, but it wasn't the same. Walls had been repaired. Wounds were healing, but something had changed in the hearts of the soldiers. They were no longer fighting just to win. Now, they were fighting to protect something bigger than themselves. Kale lay in the medical bay, silent and still. Machines kept him alive. Jack sat beside him every day. Sometimes in silence, sometimes telling old war stories. Kale didn't respond, but Jack talked anyway, because heroes should never feel alone. One morning, Jack entered the room and froze. The bed was empty. Kale was gone. Panic rushed through him. He ran to the command center. Before he could shout, Mara appeared from behind. He's okay, she said, smiling. Come with me. Jack followed her down a long hallway, past guards and scientists. They reached a small room. Inside, Kale sat in a wheelchair, awake, alert, and smiling. You look like you saw a ghost, Kale said, his voice weak but alive. Jack grinned. I thought I did. General Harris stepped in, holding a silver case. Kale of House Theron, the general said. You are not human. But you are a soldier, a warrior, and today we honor you as one of our own. He opened the case. Inside was a medal, but not just any medal. The Iron Star, only given to those who saved lives at the cost of their own. Kale's eyes widened. I don't deserve this, he whispered. Jack stepped forward. You didn't just help us, he said. You reminded us who we're supposed to be. The general pinned the medal on Kale's chest. Welcome to the ranks, warrior. News spread fast. Human soldiers, some who once hated aliens, now saluted when Kale passed by. They asked him questions, thanked him, shook his hand, even though Kale could not walk. He held his head high. He had earned respect the hardest way possible. Weeks later, Kale stood before a human council, his chair held by a new robotic support system. Built just for him, he told them everything. About the shroud, about their hidden stations in space. About what was coming next. We are not enemies, Kale said. We were both targets, and the war was their tool. Silence filled the chamber. Then one voice spoke. What do we do now? Jack stood beside Kale. We fight together, he said, human and alien. As one, a new alliance was formed, not built on fear, but on trust. A small team was chosen for a mission. One human, one alien sent to the outer system. To find the shroud's main source. To end it for good. As the shuttle prepared for launch, Jack placed something in Kale's hand. It was a simple cloth patch with two symbols on it. One human, one carry. From now on, Jack said, you're not just a guest here. Your family. Kale smiled, closing his fingers around the patch. No more walking alone, he said. As the shuttle rose into the sky, hundreds of soldiers watched. Some saluted, some held their breath, but none looked away, because they were watching something rare. Something powerful, not just a ship going to war, but the first chapter of something new. And far beyond the stars, deep in a black void, the shroud felt the shift. For the first time in centuries, it felt fear, because something it could never control, honor, friendship, humanity, was rising to meet it.